All right. So supposedly we're live. We'll give some people a few minutes to
Smart.
kind of get dialed in.
Yeah, smart. Yeah, let them get in and get in here and stuff.
So are you at the house? Or are you
Yeah,
at the
the house,
shop?
my basement right now.
Nice. I'm jealous. Look at all that
I
whiskey
mean,
back there.
you got a hell of a setup behind you too, brother.
I'm trying to build a wall on the other
Yeah,
side over here that'll be a little nicer, but man, it takes so long to get people to do work.
you're telling me, bro. This was my little COVID project here behind me. I wanted to be able to finally put some stuff up because I had bottles literally just spread out all over the place, like kitchen counter, random islands, on top of my pool table, like under the sink, literally everywhere. And it was just annoying because it would take 20 minutes to find a bottle that I wanted. So finally came up with the idea of using these are apple crates from a local apple farm.
No kidding. Really
Yeah,
cool.
like let me have somebody come in here and put them up. So the guy was nice enough, sanded them down and stained them, and came in and installed them for me.
Very cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? Like I had some guys over. We were looking through a barrel pick on Sunday, and it turned out to where like we're sharing every bottle over here,
Of
and so
course.
this bar was full of like bottles, and at the end of the day, one of the guys cleaned up for me, and I was like, "Hey man, where is that freaking Old Glory Double Oak?" And he was
Yeah.
like, "Bro, the only one I saw was on the counter over there," and I was like, "That one's there, but where's the other one?"
Yeah.
And come to find out, I had it in my truck from a bottle share the night before in Georgia, and didn't even. It just
It's
you
super
look and look and
frustrating.
look, and
Like
you
you
can't
said.
find them, right?
Yep, that's exactly it.
Cool deal. I guess we're 2 minutes in. I'll give it another minute or two, and
Cool. Yeah, yeah, no rush, bro.
but
You know,
I need to get up there and see you guys, man.
that's the move, man. Whenever we do it, that's really the way to do it. In all honesty, there's no if ands or buts about it because then when you come in, you can actually get the full experience, and we'll talk about that a little bit here when we get live and rolling,
Okay.
like what our experience entails.
Hmm.
We send samples, but that's just so boring. Like
No, no.
pick a
That to me,
day.
that's not barrel picking.
Yeah, that's just it. That's just it.
Yeah, I think you and I talked a little bit back when I was connecting you with Rupin and them at Red Hot and
Yeah,
talked
yeah,
about kind of how it was over there with your place, and sounds really nice, really exciting. So
yeah.
look forward to it. Hey Scott, hey Rhett, how are y'all, man? Thank y'all for tuning in. Well, we're up and down on viewers, so I think we'll just go ahead and we'll get started, and they can catch it on the replay if they don't get in by now. So
Let's rock and roll, bro.
guys, thank y'all. So tonight we're going to talk with Prav Saraff. If you guys don't know of Prav, you need to know of him. He's the owner of Dream Spirits. Also owns a store there in DC. I'm going to let him tell you guys all the details. But Prav, I appreciate you for coming on with us tonight. And the goal tonight, man, is just to learn about you, learn about Dream Spirits, and maybe answer some of the questions that some of the guys have coming toward us. So if you don't mind, just kind of share with us a little bit about your history and where Dream Spirits come from and what kind of got you into the industry.
Yeah, I'm happy to. First and foremost, man, thanks a lot for having me. Thanks for sharing your time and having your, guys and gals share their time with me as well. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me to be able to come on here and talk the things that I'm most passionate about with you guys.
Awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
so let's get right into it, bro. Love it. Somebody's drinking a Dream Spirits right pick as we speak. Love seeing that. All
Nice.
right, so let's get right into it. We'll start with, you and I talked a little bit, Brandon, about you may know me but not know me, right? Like you don't know the
Hmm.
full details or the story or the background and all of that. And we can get into that a little bit. But I think the first place we should start is why we decided to name our company Dream Spirits. So we named it Dream Spirits for two reasons. One is because I fully and firmly believe that my family is the living embodiment of the American dream. We are everything that is right with this beautiful country. We are the reason that people come to this place from wherever their homeland may be if they're not from here originally.
Hmm.
And the reason is because it was my dad's dream to build a brand. So we took those two thought processes, if you would, and we started Dream Spirits and named it Dream. But you can't really know the story of Dream, I feel like, unless you know the story of my pops and what a legend he really is. So we'll talk a little bit about kind of dad started into how it transitions to me, and then kind of where we are today.
Okay.
Walk you guys down a long road of kind of the Saraff family history, if you would. So my dad was born and raised in India. He's a part of 10 siblings. Unfortunately for him, his dad passed away in his preteen years.
Oh
So
wow.
very, very young, unfortunately. And as you can imagine, a rural village, a single mother trying to raise 10 kids on her own. And then you compound that with when your husband passes, he doesn't leave behind a business or any steady income or any wealth of any nature. Life's quite a bitch, right? All the kids are forced
Yeah.
to grow up a lot sooner than they would otherwise, or than is really fair of them, I would say.
Right.
Uh, so everybody had to kind of do their part. Unfortunately for dad, that meant he dropped out of school again as a pre-teenager. I think he was 12 when he dropped out of school to go work full time in his local village that they lived in. Did any and every odd job that he could think of to help support his mom and his siblings. Did that for a few years, moved out to the big city in India, worked over there with his maternal uncle. And I feel like that's where dad really kind of honed in on and sharpened all the skills that he already always had. My pops has always been an entrepreneur. He's always been a manager. He's always been a leader. He's always been a hustler. But I feel like at that shop, he really got to fine tune all those skills a little bit.
Okay.
So did that for a few years, and things were going really, really well for him. But entrepreneurs, as you guys may or may not know, always have this kind of thirst for more. We always want more from life, right? That's just, I think, human nature for us. So dad saw, and dad was no different. He's no different today. He saw an opportunity in a neighboring country named Nepal. Nepal was kind of booming in its economy back then. Uh, for those of you guys that may not be familiar, Nepal is where Mount Everest is. It's where the Himalayas are. So it's a huge tourist hub for Westerners to go trekking in the mountains. But the opportunity that my pop saw was there was no tariffs on luxury goods. Fun word in our life right now, tariffs. There was no tariffs on luxury goods being imported into Nepal at that time. This is probably, gosh, late 70s, early 80s, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay.
And my dad moved to Nepal, opened up a super small shop there. And then he ended up traveling to Hong Kong from Nepal 15 to 18 times a year. And he would go buy luxury goods in Hong Kong and bring them back and sell them in his store. So my dad was the first person to import Ray-Ban sunglasses, as an example, into Nepal.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah, the first person to import Cartier sunglasses into Nepal. Like any really high-end luxury item you can think of, dad was either the first or amongst the first 3 or 4 people to bring it into the country, right? I was born and raised in Nepal. Like I told you earlier, my pops has always been a hustler. Has always been very successful in what he does because of his work ethic and his ethics and morals in general.
Mhm.
So he started to build a mini empire, if you would, in Nepal, of many different stores in this one main mall that was in town. Well, he moved a few of his siblings down from India to Nepal and either got them set up in their own businesses or helped him run one of his. This one main mall had an entrance on like 4 different sides of the building, and any entrance you went into, the first store you saw belonged to my pops. Right. So, needless to say, he's doing very well.
Strategic.
Yeah. Needless to say, he's doing very well for himself, obviously. But that entrepreneurial thirst that we talk about never goes away, right? He still has that itch to this day. Um, he's standing in his store one day and he's talking to an American customer that came in every year to go trekking in the mountains, and then he would come visit dad and go buy something from dad in his store. And when this guy goes in, he looks at dad one day and he goes, right in his eye, looking at him, and he goes, Saraff, you're wasting your life here. Paul. He says, I see that you're doing well for yourself. I can tell. He says, but somebody like you with your talent deserves to be in America. He said, go chase the American dream, and the sky's the limit for what you and your kids will be able to achieve. Right? We didn't have any connections to this country at that point. We didn't have any family or friends here. We didn't have any businesses here, nothing of that nature. We had a pretty distant family friend from my mom's side that lived in a town that's about 40 minutes from where we live now. My pops called him up and he said, hey, can I come see what America's like? Can I come spend a couple of weeks with you guys if that's okay? So they said, yeah, come by, no problem. Dad comes by. He's here for 11 or 12 days or something, less than 2 weeks. Goes back home, sees God knows what he wants or needs to, goes back home and he tells mom, start packing up your stuff. We're moving to America. Just like that, on a whim, he's decided he's going to uproot his whole life. If that's not crazy enough, my pops
It's
takes it.
wild.
Yeah, it's insane, dude. But if that's not crazy enough, he takes it crazy one step further. He tells mom, he says, we're not going to take any of our money with us. I don't want to sell any of our businesses, our stores that we have here. He said, I have no problem going to America. We'll hustle, we'll work, I'll build from scratch. He said, but I don't want to go there. And if you're miserable or the kids are miserable and we have to come back, then I have to start from scratch again. So he leaves everything behind. Right?
He didn't burn the ships when they hit the island. He wanted to be able to go back. Yeah.
Leaves literally everything behind. My family is the cliche Hollywood story of immigrant family moves to America with $100 in their pockets. You know, it sounds like it's a made up story, but it was our true story. I remember like it was 6 months ago. Wow. Yeah, we moved here. We didn't have any money. We didn't have any family, friends. We didn't speak any English. I would say we spoke about as much English, Brandon, as like an average American probably speaks Spanish, right? Super.
You don't even have an accent, man. Like, listen, of bro, any sort, in my opinion.
You lose an accent real quick when elementary school kids make fun of you every single day.
You are like super well articulated. Like,
I appreciate you. That's very nice of you to say. But you know, the articulation and all of that comes from having to actually learn the language, which is what we had to do. We had to actually go out and make a concerted effort to learn the language. We had to actually understand what the words meant instead of just growing up naturally. Because when you just grow up naturally speaking it, you don't make a concerted effort to learn it, I think. No. So then there's like a little bit of a difference, I feel like, in the
way. Do you make a concerted effort to learn any other language for that part. Like I work offshore, and so there's Hispanic and there's Filipino. So you've got Spanish and Tagalog that is being spoken, and I mean, they can speak English just as well as I can, but I can't understand what they're saying, right? And I'm like, man, we as Americans, I think, culturally are just lazy. Like we weren't forced.
We weren't forced
to learn that.
Right. It was a matter of convenience. Like we tell our kids, and I did the same with my kids, for example, you know, the kids have to take a foreign language in our school in our county that we're in for 3 years. So like, how much Spanish are you really going to learn in the 3 years in high school when you're just trying to get by and getting an A or a B, right? You're not really making effort to really learn the language, to learn the culture. Anyways, we're going to completely digress into a completely side subject.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all good. No worries, bro. So we come here, we don't speak no English, no money, no connections, nothing. For the first 2.5 months or so that we lived in this country, we lived in the basement of this family that was generous enough to take us in that Dad first visited. But when I say it's like a basement, it was a basement with a bathroom. We're not talking like, you know, a 5-star hotel luxury, like 3 bedrooms, kitchen, bath. And there's 5 of us in that basement, me, Mom, Dad, and my siblings. So what did we do, man? We did what every hardworking, honest immigrant family does when they come to this country, which is anything and everything to survive, right? My dad's first job in America was with an electrician. He doesn't know to this day how to plug or unplug the TV without any help, right? But he knew working with an electrician meant a paycheck, which meant he could feed his family. So he did that. In the evening, he would wash dishes in the back of house at a restaurant. And in the daytime, he would pass out flyers for that same restaurant. Then let's see here, you know, like, I don't know if you've spent any time in downtown DC, Brandon, but we have these like little street vendors that sell like t-shirts and hats that say like White House and FBI and CIA, like, you know, memorabilia, touristy stuff, if you would.
Right.
And they're literally street vendors. They look like a little stall. Dad worked with one of these guys. He would come home at night with trash bags, literally like 5-6 feet tall, with t-shirts crumpled up. Then we as a family would stay up all night and iron those t-shirts and fold them and get them ready back to take back to the stall the next day. Wow. We would do that until about 4 a.m. And then at 4 a.m. we would get in the car, and then Dad would drive. Mom would be in the passenger seat to make sure he doesn't fall asleep while we were doing the paper route. I would be in the back seat on one side and one of my sisters on the other, and we were tossing out the paper at 4 a.m. Do this until about 5 or 5:30, come home and then go to sleep and then get ready for school 2 hours later. And then Mom would get up to go do her maternal duties and, you know, like familial duties, like cooking for everybody, getting the house ready and all that. And Dad's getting ready to go back to work again the next day. We did this for several months, bro. Then Dad ended
when you say hustler, like,
oh yeah,
you mean hustler.
You haven't even heard the half of it, brother. This man is such a gangster. He's he's the most pimp person you'll ever meet in your life. My dad worked at a gas station. At this gas station, Brandon, my pops worked 21 hours a day, 7 days a week for about 8 months straight. Those numbers legitimately don't make sense. They sound like they're made up. They sound inhumane. You know, I'll repeat them just for emphasis because they are that important. 21 hours a day, 7 days a week for about 8 months straight. This every single day. He would come home from work. He would go to sleep for like 2 hours, right? Wake up, take a shower, pray, eat, and then go right back to work again every single day. While dad was doing this, mom was stitching up clothes for the local families in the neighborhood. She was babysitting the local families in the for the local families in the neighborhood. She would cook up little Indian snacks at home. Then we would walk to the local grocery store. That was like a mile and a half away, Indian grocery store, and we would ask them if they would want to buy the snacks that mom made. Sometimes they would, and sometimes they wouldn't. And when they would, we would take that money and turn it into groceries to feed our family. And when they wouldn't, we would take the snacks back, and that's what we ate for the next X number of days until we ran out of them. Right. I would come home as a 10, 11-year-old kid, come home from school, go knock on my neighbor's door. And I would tell them when they'd answer the door, I say, I need to earn $5 today. What can I do to earn $5? And anything they would let me do, I would do. I would take out trash for people. I'd wash their dishes. I'd mow their lawn. I'd walk their dog. I'd vacuum their floors, fold their laundry, literally anything somebody would let me do for $5. I did. We did as a family, because $5 for us meant another meal the next day. And that's all we were banking on. We needed to know that, we'd be able to eat again the following day and things of that nature. Right. So we did this again for, God, 2+ years, 3+ years, something like that. It was the daily routine for us, all of us in the family, doing our part. Then dad ended up working at a liquor store. I'm a full believer in like full life goes in circles and like full circle of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
This liquor store that dad ended up working in it's about a block and a half down the street from our main flagship store now. So that's kind of like the full circle of life. Dad came back many years later and started dominating the liquor industry like a block and a half from where he first started. Anyways, he's in this liquor store, light bulb goes off in his head, and he says, this is what I need to do. I need to own a liquor store in this country. That's how my family's going to make it. For those of you that may not be familiar, if you move to this country as an immigrant, the country has a process to legalize you so you can live here and make a living here and own a business here and become an American. I tell people all the time, this is the only country in the world where you can move and then become that. Like if I moved to Spain tomorrow and lived there for 30 years, I wouldn't become a Spaniard. Same thing with France. I wouldn't become French, Italy. Name the country, you don't become that. But
right
here, you become American, right? That's the beautiful thing of the mixing bowl of the country that we have. So dad said, whenever I can legally buy one, I'm going to buy a liquor store in this. For us, that took about 6.5 years or so for that process to finally happen. The government to finally, check all their boxes and do whatever they needed to do in the back end. Day finally comes where dad goes, okay, cool, I'm going to buy a liquor store, finds the one that he loves. Only one major problem is we don't have any money, right? And liquor stores aren't cheap, as you know. So dad does what no one, I believe, that's watching and you and me would do or advise any of our loved ones to do. He takes out a loan from his credit cards at 28% interest to go buy this store. It is absolutely maddening. But to me, one of the biggest definitions of an entrepreneur is someone that's maddening. You believe in yourself, your hustle, your vision, and your hard work over everything else. Correct. So this is the only way he was going to do it. So he did it. Then I'll tell you a fun story. A very typical meal for us for dinner, like as an Indian family that's vegetarian, it'll be like rice, lentils, and some vegetables of some sort, right? So the day that dad decides to take out this loan, he comes home and he tells mom, he says, hey, for the next few months, you can't cook any vegetables for dinner. Says there may be days where you're not making any lentils for dinner either. There may be days where you're not making any rice for dinner and we go to sleep with just milk. And there were plenty of those days where we went to sleep with just milk. Because what he told her is, he said, for the next 3 years, everybody in the family needs to chip in and hustle and work together on this. Because every dollar I make at that store has to go off to pay off this loan.
Yeah. Like how do I offset 28% interest like with my revenue? Yeah.
That's all I cared about is I've got to pay off this loan at 28%. And once that loan is paid off, then we'll be able to take that money home and then we'll be good. Right. So obviously we're like, yeah, dad, no problem. Let's do it. Like I said, there were plenty of nights where we went to sleep with just milk for dinner, but it doesn't matter because it brought us to this beautiful place in life where we are today. So let's talk about.
But people see you today and they feel like you just woke up like that, right? Like you just walked into it, woke up. They have no clue what you did to get there, brother.
Bro, we're an overnight success. And whenever I hear that, I tell people all the time, we're absolutely an overnight success. We're an overnight success. That's 30 years in the making. Um, so let's talk about like when I come into this picture, if you would, right? I'm 15 years old when we buy our first store. My daily routine as a freshman in high school was I would come home and then I would drop off my backpack. I would grab two things every single day. I'd grab a little notebook of some sort and I'd grab my bicycle. I would bicycle over from my house to the metro, take the metro to the city, and then walk to our store, drop off my notebook at the front on the counter, and then I'm working at the store. I'm cleaning, I'm breaking down boxes, I'm stocking, I'm pricing things, I'm helping customers, I'm bringing up customers. Whatever I can do, I'm doing at the shop. And the reason I'm doing that is because the minute I get there, we can send home an hourly employee and we can save another 30 bucks or 40 bucks to pay off that loan a little quicker, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the cool thing, right? I grew up, I tell people all the time, I literally grew up in the liquor industry. I was working at a liquor store since before I had facial hair, right? But I grew up at a time where we didn't have Google to teach us anything. We didn't have any
Yeah.
alternatives or anything to teach us. We owned our first store in 95. So literally 31 years ago, we owned our first store. But in 1995, you couldn't go to Google and be like, what is Heaven Hill or Wild Turkey or what does it taste like? That just did not exist.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and we didn't have any mentors, like I told you. We grew up in the business, brother, pronouncing Pinot Noir, Pinot Noir. We were pronouncing Bordeaux as Bordeaux. And I can't even get into like Cabernet Sauvignon or Sauvignon Blanc because, again, we didn't have anyone to teach us. We had to teach ourselves.
Right.
And my
We have
pop,
Chat GPT today, and I still pronounce it that way. So
that's funny as hell. And, you know, my pops, to his credit, he never drank. To this day, he doesn't drink. You can blindfold my dad and give him bourbon, vodka, and red wine, and he would not be able to tell you the difference. He wouldn't be able to tell you which is which. That's
wow.
not his skill set. His skill set is you give him $1 and he'll give you $2 back. That's what he's done his whole life, and that's what he continues to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we had to learn the business literally ourselves. We had to teach ourselves, and we did so by reading and memorizing every single label in every single bottle in the store, the front of the label and the back of the label. We memorized every single word until we learned something about them, where they're from, what food pairings are, what the tasting notes are, what the ABV is. Anything that we could, we would pick up from the bottle and memorize it. Let's fast forward a few years. I'm in college. I go to school here locally in George Mason in Fairfax, Virginia. And when I'm in school, I'm studying marketing and finance. That's what my degree is in. At that time in my life, you could not convince me to go into the liquor industry. I wanted to open up my own PR firm or my own ad agency, right? But by no means was I going to own a liquor store. I did it to help my dad all these years, but that's just because it was like the right thing to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm in school. End of sophomore year in college, my dad comes to me. He goes, "Hey, this summer you're going to need to work at the store, open to close every single day, because my main help's going back home. And not only are you going to work open to close, but you're also going to have to take on a lot more responsibilities. You're going to be more supplier facing, distributor facing. You're going to order. You're going to do the pricing. You're going to do the shelf sets. You're going to deal with customers. Literally everything from beginning to end, you're going to have to do by yourself." I said, "Okay, Dad. Yeah, no problem. We'll do whatever you want me to do. No big deal." Brandon, when I tell you, I fell so madly and deeply and passionately in love with the store that summer. To this day, it's my biggest hobby. It's what I'm most passionate about. I am that cliche. My wife will tell you that we're on vacation and I'm thinking about work because how much I love it and how much I miss it.
That's
It's such
awesome.
a dumb cliche, but it never feels like work for me. Right? I just
Yeah.
absolutely. I told Dad at the end of that summer, I said, "Hey, Dad, like I really want to do this with you forever. You know, I don't want to do the whole marketing thing anymore. Like I don't want to do my own PR firm or ad agency. I want to do it with you." So we sat down and said, "Yeah, cool, let's go. Let's rock and roll. We'll do this together." And you know, slowly and surely, God has been very, very good to us. We're very, very blessed. God has been incredible. One store became two, two became three, three became four, four became five, etc. We've owned 8 stores in the 30 plus years that we've done this now, of
Nice.
which we have 2. But what we wanted to do, Brandon, was I sat my pops down and I said, "Dad, DC is the most powerful city in the world, bar none. But it's a super, super small town. It's only 68 square miles for all of DC, right?
Mhm.
And in those 68 square miles, there's 251 liquor stores. So, like, if you're in downtown, there's a store
Wow.
every block and a half." And I tell Dad, I
Wow.
said, we're not, we're not doing anything to differentiate ourselves. And there's only so much Bacardi and Smirnoff and Johnny Walker and all of these things you could sell. We've got to do something different, something unique, right? And Dad goes, "Yeah, what do you want to do?" I said, "I don't know, Dad, but we've got to figure it out." Fast forward to my junior year in college, I go to Jamaica with my friends for spring break. In Jamaica, I fall in love with 2 things: fall in love with Jamaican rum and Jamaican women, right? And I come back and I think one of these things is obtainable for me, which is Jamaican rum. So, so I want to learn as much as I can about it, right?
Okay.
Somebody asked if I drink it, enjoy bourbon. Absolutely, I drink it and enjoy.
Yeah, I was just seeing that. I'm like, guys, do y'all see his shelf behind him?
Um, but yes, I want to learn about Jamaican rum. I come
Okay.
back. There's a whiskey festival happening in DC where John Little and John Foster, who started Smooth Ambler, were going to be there. Their bourbon and rye.
I've
But
been talking with Smooth Ambler a good bit lately.
yeah, they're amazing, incredible,
Mhm.
incredible people. Um, but they were also going to have this 28-year-old Jamaican rum that they had at that time. So I get my supplier to get me a ticket so I can go and try this Jamaican rum because that's all I was fascinated with at that point, right? Get my supplier to get me a ticket. I get there and I beeline to the Smooth Ambler table. And the Johns are telling me about bourbon and rye, and I'm asking for more rum. They're telling me about bourbon and rye, and I'm asking for more rum. As we're doing this, we start to talk and become friends. To this day, I consider them two of my closer, like industry friends, if you would, right? And friends in general.
Nice. Hmm.
But that
That's
night,
nice.
yeah, it's really cool. They're great. Again, amazing people. Um, but again, that night, I learned so many things that were new to me. I learned about single barrels. I learned about barrel picks because these things are things that were very foreign to us. We didn't know them. We didn't do them. And if you think about it, this is, gosh, probably 1999 or 2000, somewhere in that neighborhood. So
Okay.
single barrel picks were not a thing at that point. You could
Correct.
probably count on one, maybe two hands, the number of retailers in the country that were doing them. The
Mhm.
Johns were telling me about how they had done some barrel picks, but it was only for their friends and family out of the gift shop, but they hadn't done any for retail. And I thought, we're looking for a differentiator in the store. Maybe this is it. Maybe we can buy a barrel and then we take it to the store and then we hand sell it as the only place in the whole world you can buy this whiskey is here. So I go and pitch the idea to my dad. My dad says, "Can you sell it?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely. It'll take me some time, but I'm sure I can sell it." He says, "Okay, go ahead and buy it." So we buy it, we bring it in, and then when it comes in, I start hand selling them. And when I'm hand selling them, I'm telling people the same thing every single time. The only place in the whole world you can buy this is here.
That's right. That one barrel doesn't exist anywhere else in the world.
So then word started
I
to
love it.
spread, and our block and a half radius that we were pulling from became 5 blocks, became 10 blocks, became the suburbs. People were driving out from the suburbs to our store in downtown DC to buy this bottle, which again, today, that sounds so common. We've all done
Mhm.
it. Everybody on this call has waited in line or entered a lottery or a raffle or whatever it may be for bottles, right?
Mhm.
But back then, it wasn't like that. Back then, you just literally went to whatever your local store, if you would, was. You didn't go out of your way to go to a liquor store
Right.
usually, but we were giving people reason to go out of their way to come see us because we had this very cool, unique single barrel. At the same time that this was happening was also when Facebook was in its infancy stages, right?
Mhm.
And then there were some like national Facebook whiskey groups, but they weren't like they are today. So like national Facebook whiskey groups, Brandon, were like 50 people or like 80
Oh,
people, right?
wow.
Like, and it was like all like, so these are like a lot of the OGs of whiskey that were in this thing, and you only got in through a personal vouch. So like, let's say if you wanted to get in and I was in, I would have to be like, "Hey, Brandon's my boy. I've drank with him. I know him. If he screws someone over, I'll make good with my money, and I'll make sure that he doesn't screw anyone over." Like that's how you
Mhm.
literally. And it was a true camaraderie, a true community, right?
Yeah, I like
Somehow
it.
I added into one of these, and again, like I said, it's a lot of the OGs of whiskey that were there, and I started befriending a lot of these people around the country. As I'm befriending them, I also start to realize they don't have access to Smooth Ambler either, and depending on where they are in the country, they may not have access to single barrel picks either. So I tell my dad, I said, "Hey, we can ship whiskey from our store in DC legally. Let me put 12 bottles up in my Facebook group and just see if any of my new friends want to buy any of these." So we put 12 bottles up and they sell out like that, like in an instant. And that was so cool for us because we had never sold 12 bottles of any spirits ever, that quickly to one person or one
Right.
time before.
I imagine not. Yeah.
So I was like, wow, that was really interesting. So we started to do another barrel pick. The second one again we did with Smooth Ambler as well. When that barrel pick came in, I told Dad, I said, "I want to push the envelope a little bit. Let me put 5 cases up in these Facebook groups and just see if anybody buys them." We put up 5 cases and they sold like this.
God,
And then that was my like light bulb
light
aha
bulb.
moment to say, yeah, this is it. This is what we've got to focus on. And this is going to be our, separator, our differentiator, if you would. So we started to do more and more barrel picks. And every time we would do them, it got to the point where we would hold back like 6 or 7 cases or so in the store for walk-in customers, and the rest we would put online in one of 3 different Facebook groups that I was in. And every single thing we would put up would sell out like this, like literally in seconds. And that sounds pompous, and it's not in any way at all.
No. I mean, if you really keep into mind, like if you're following the story of what you're saying, what I'm hearing is you're a liquor store in the country, and all across the country, the same Jack Daniels, Jim Beam,
That's right.
vodkas, rums, all the same exact bottles are on every shelf across the entire country. Now all of a sudden, you've got a one exclusive, one off, one and only, and that's the only place I can get it. And Bob got one last time, and he said it was freaking phenomenal.
You nailed it.
And then that grows like a domino effect, right?
Yep, that's exactly right. So we would sell out everything we put online in a matter of seconds. It got to the point where if something didn't sell out in like a minute and a half, Brandon, Dad and I
You're
would
upset.
like that was a really slow brand. We should probably not work with them again if you would, right?
Wow.
Like still remember, like our first Four Roses barrel took 4.5 minutes or so to sell out, and we're like, Four Roses, it didn't sell out in 5 minutes. It took 5 minutes to sell this out. Like no way, right? So anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm still begging her to let me have a barrel over at Four Roses, and she keeps telling me to wait.
You and me both, brother. Like, we've done in the past, and now like every time I talk to her, I'm like, "Hey, Four Roses, let me get a barrel," and they're like, "No chance."
Yeah.
At some point in the near future, but not right now. Anyways, so we started to do more and more of these, and we started to kind of really grow our. God, this sounds so douchey when I say, but our following. We had like a true following around the country. And then we did what I think is the natural progression for most people, which is you want to find the next in thing, the next cool thing, the next big thing, if you would. We had done barrel with any and every big major distillery. So we started to think there's got to be smaller guys that we can also do this with that, we can kind of help gain national exposure to.
For sure.
So we started to become early movers at a lot of different brands, right? I'll give you some examples. Like Joseph Magnus, we did their first ever barrel pick. I think we did their first 5 or 4 and the first 8 of 12 barrels that they sold, I think.
And that was before Nancy days, I would imagine, huh?
Yeah, I mean, Nancy was on pretty early with them, but like, for example, Nancy did the cigar batch with Matt, right? Like them two did it together. We did the only private cigar batch that they ever did for anybody in the country. And it was batch 3. I think they're on like batch 700 or something now to give you.
Yeah. It's way out there.
Then like Smoke Wagon, we did their first ever barrel pick outside of California, Nevada. New Riff, we did the first one ever to leave Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio. Starlight, we did the first one to leave Kentucky, Indiana. Nashville Barrel Company, we did the first one ever. Mammoth Distilling, we did the first one outside of Michigan. And the list goes on and on and on with how many brands we became early movers at. When we would do this, what would happen is, let's just take Smoke Wagon for an example. We released 3 barrel picks from them all in the same day. They all sold out in a matter of minutes. And then we started shipping them all over the country. Then people in Michigan, Florida, Texas, California, wherever, they would receive these bottles and they would take them to their local store and be like, dude, you got to try this. It's a 12-year MGP that I just got from a store in DC for $79 or $89, whatever the price was. And it's insane. Why don't you do this also? And then this little store would call the brand and say, hey, I would like to do a barrel pick. I saw you did one with some store in DC. And this was happening with every single brand. So then obviously we were that.
I mean, you're talking 50 states, but you're also talking about 200 stores in that little area in DC. Imagine how many stores are in each state. Like, this is exponential, man.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Thank you. I appreciate that on the NBC. Much love. So we started to do this and it would start to spread again, like wildfire, like you're saying. And then my dad saw this and he said, we've got to do this for ourselves. We help so many small brands get like national attention, and then they're getting calls from all over the country from stores saying, hey, we saw some store in DC do a pick. So why can't we do that for ourselves? Right? So I sit down with Dad. I said, what do you want to do? And he goes, really simple. My dream is for us to leave a legacy behind. He's like, when we're all gone, you, me, Mom, all of us are gone, the store's not going to be our legacy. He said, but maybe we can have a brand with our name on it. And then maybe every time somebody buys a pour or shares a pour with the loved one or buys a bottle or sells a bottle, maybe they tell our story. Maybe they look up our story online. And then maybe that's how our legacy can go on. So we took his dream and turned it into Dream Spirits, right?
I love that. And that's something I didn't know. I buy this bottle and my only tie to this bottle is Kevin and you. Like, that's all I know. But now if I share that pour with somebody, I'm sharing the abbreviated portion of what you just shared with me. That's phenomenal.
That. So we did this, and then what we wanted to do is I've done probably well over 2,000, maybe 2,500 barrel picks at this point, right, Brandon? There isn't nothing that I haven't seen in the barrel pick game, literally nothing. So what I did was, what we wanted to do, I should say, is build something that was different, unique for us. From the beginning, we've been about differentiation, right? That's what Dad did in Nepal. That's what we did when we
Hmm.
first moved liquor stores. That's what we wanted to do with Dream. Everything we do is about differentiation for us. So I thought we've got to do something that nobody else really is doing. So what we did was we built Dream Spirits as an experiential company. I tell people all the time, Dream Spirits is not a whiskey company. We're an experience company. We happen to sell whiskey. But for us, what we wanted to do was, what we saw was everywhere you would go to buy a barrel, it always felt a little bit transactional. It wasn't fully experiential. The barrel pick, the barrel program was never fully your barrel program as a customer. Everywhere you go, they have their own way of doing things and they're set in their ways. And they want to tell
Hmm.
you no if anytime you ask them to deviate from it a little bit. Hey, can I blend this with this? No. Hey, this feels like a really short barrel. Can I bottle it in 375s? No. Hey, this feels like it would be really cool if I could throw it in a new Kelvin barrel. Will you double oak it for me? No. Hey, I'm looking at your bottling schedule and it looks like when you're going to bottle my bottle, it's going to be 9 years and like 50 weeks. Will you just bottle it on the next run so it's 10 years old? And they say no. So we took all these no's and we'd like to think that Dad and I built the house of yes, right? So we tell people when they come in for a barrel pick at Dream, it's the only rick house I know of in the country where the entire barrel selection experience is yours. You walk in with a blank slate. You can create anything in there. You can blend anything with anything. You can double oak anything into anything. You can bottle everything in 375s if you want, or in 750s if you want. If you want to tell me, hey, Prav, I want to do something crazy like blending Russell's Reserve with 95.5 MGP rye, I'm going to say, cool, that's awesome. Let's do that. That sounds fun. Let's try it and let's see if it's good. And if it's good, we're going to do it. We have a very, very simple rule at Dream. The House of Yes, exactly. We have a very, very simple rule at Dream. If you ask me a question, I don't have to ask anybody for permission. I don't have to ask corporate. I don't have to look around and see what you just have
Love it.
two very simple boxes. It has to be legal because that one's really important, right? And then it has to be cool and fun. And the reason it has to be cool and fun is somebody could come in and be like, wow, this beautiful 13-year MGP bourbon tastes incredible. Now I want to take it and finish it in a apple cinnamon vanilla barrel and bottle it at 60 proof or some shit stupid like that. Right? And for something like that, I'm going to say no because that's not cool or fun. Because at some point, somebody's going to try that and think it represents Dream Spirits when it doesn't. So there's no
So you're
chance.
not gonna let me take a 18-year turkey and put it in an Amberana barrel? Like that,
Yeah,
that's
I'm
not
going
gonna.
to go for that one for sure, 100%. I just got to find some 18-year-old turkey barrels first.
Yeah,
But
I wish.
we're not doing that at all. So yeah, we like to say that we want to provide the full experience to you. So outside of what you do in the rick house, we take the experience so much further, Brandon. Anybody that comes in to commit to buying a barrel from us, we have a gorgeous, I call it adult bourbon camp, a gorgeous modern barn dominium style 5-bedroom house that's on property where the rick house is, where the barrel selection happens and everything. And this house is loaded with amenities. You have archery, you got axe throwing, you got a outdoor sauna, outdoor jacuzzi, fire pit, bocce ball, shuffleboard, cornhole, sub soccer, ring toss, beanbag toss. I mean, giant Jenga, literally you name it and it's there, right?
Mhm.
So what we say is come and spend 2 days with us. And by the way, we include that house for free for 2 nights for anybody coming in for a barrel pick. Because finances don't dictate any of the decision making at Dream. God, like I told you earlier, has been really, really good to us. We have way more than we will ever need, right? Dream Spirits is about one thing and one thing only. It is about making my hero, my pops' dream come true. So for that, I'm
Too
going to do
cool.
anything and everything I possibly can. I'm going to
So
give you.
we'll be there tomorrow at noon because
Let's
all
go.
that you just said, all I'm thinking is gold is out there in the Rick House. So
Let's go, man. That's exactly it, bro. So we want to do is we want to give you experiences and memories. So when you leave, you're going to leave with good whiskey, but you can leave with good whiskey at 100 different NDPs. But what we do is when you leave Dream Spirits, you're going to take so much more than whiskey with you. You're going to take things that are never going to leave you. You're going to take those memories you made there that 2 days. You're going to take those experiences that you had. And what you're going to do is you're going to tell everybody about it.
yeah,
Right. And
for
then
sure.
that
Yeah.
way I get to selfishly buy brand ambassadors. If you come with a group of 5 and all 6 of you guys love it, you're going to go back and tell everyone you know. You're going to tell
Mhm.
everybody. Anytime somebody talks about a barrel pick, you're going to say, no, 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 you got to go to Dream, right? Because
Yeah,
again, we're not a whiskey company. We sell whiskey, but we're an experience company. That's the
I
thing we
like
want
it.
to tap in on, is we want to tap in on those experiences, those memories.
And that was one of the things when you and I first talked and we started talking about barrel picks. You had a lot of that laid out. Like we've got this, and this available, and this is the price for these. But if you want to double oak those, then you can do that, and it's just this,
Yeah,
and this for that. Like you had it all laid out. You had already thought through all of those things, so I already saw that there was tons of options there.
yeah, much love, man. I
Um,
appreciate you, dude. Like we've got, like to your point, we have so many different options right now. We've got, gosh, I think my price list currently has 46 or 47 different SKUs in there. So when you get there and we
wow,
start barrel pick, we walk around the rick house and I say, hey, this is here, this is here, this is here, this is here. What do you want to taste? We don't give you the whole, hey, we pre-selected these samples for you, or we went
hmm
off of what we thought you would like, and here's 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 or whatever samples to choose from. No, we say, let's find out what you like. You find out what you like. You may already think you want X, Y, or Z, but then you should try anything and everything in here. And then you should let your imagination run wild, because where else can you go in with a blank slate for a barrel pick and say, I get
right.
to be the boss of this. I get to decide what I want to do, how I want to do it, what I want to bottle, when I want to bottle it, how I want to bottle it, what size I want to bottle it in. I mean, from
I
beginning to
love
end,
it.
it is your barrel pick, not ours.
Yeah, I love it, and I mean, everything that I've gotten from you is just kind of like you talked about your whole Jamaican experience and love for Jamaica, and their whole thing is no worries, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's the feel I get from you because when we first started talking offline today, I was like, my biggest concern is logistics. You're like, that's not a concern. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
It's done.
that's easy.
Like,
Yeah, that's
what's
the easy part.
next? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the easy part, man. Like we've had logistics on rails, right? We've been doing this for 30 years, and it's a labor of love for us. And we we get to have the luxury of having the store as well, right?
hmm
So
hmm
we get to see this side of this NDP space or distillery space or whatever you would, in it through a lens that no one else in the industry can, because we've been the buyers for so long, so we know the pitfalls that the buyers face. So
Right.
we remove any and every friction that the customer could possibly have, because we've been seeing them for 30 years. We've been doing this longer than anyone else really has.
Yeah, that really blew my mind. I did not know that you had that much time and history with it. I
Yeah, brother.
think I'm I feel like I'm probably nearly, if not as enthusiastic about it, but I found it a lot later in life.
Yeah.
Um, my my true enthusiasm with it grew, in my 40s as opposed to I grew up with it as a teenager, right? But all I knew was the typical Shelfers, Jim Beam, Jack Daniels, whatever. But I always knew I liked bourbon, but I never knew that this whole world existed. So a little bit of jealousy there that you knew about it earlier, but no jealousy in the fact of how you had to learn about it.
Yeah, brother.
But
It's been a fun ride, man. It's been an adventurous and fun ride. I wouldn't trade it in for the world.
great. Let's see. Y'all started asking Prav some questions. I got one question that came from Chase that I jotted down for you.
Yeah, hit me, bro.
So Chase is saying, where do you see the bourbon market today versus a year ago? And has that influenced your quantity and or quality of the product that you're sourcing for Dream Spirits? And
Man,
then his second question was, when is the BHB pick? But anyway, yeah, would love to
yeah,
hear your thoughts on the
but
industry because it's cyclical and you've seen it over 30 years. So you have a little different insight on it than we do, I'm sure.
yeah, 100%, brother. We've seen this for so long. We used to be able to pick up the phone and call our distributor and order Stitzel, Weller, Pappy Van Winkle at wholesale and order as much of it as we wanted, and then it would just sit on the shelf and collect dust because nobody gave a shit about 20-year green glass Pappy Van Winkle, for an example, something that
Right.
most of us would cut off our left pinky for a bottle of it today, right? So we've literally seen any and all of it. But so here's what happens. I think a year ago versus today, the consumer is in a much, much better place than they were a year ago. And I think that we also, as a brand, are in a much better place. It's a great time to be a buyer, whether that's as a brand or as a consumer. Um, Unfortunately, a lot of our colleagues in the industry are uh, failing right now. They're struggling right now, unfortunately, just because times are tough. Times are tough. Everybody's watching their dollar a little bit more, which is fully understandable. So people are more selective with what they're going to buy and what they're going to spend their money on. But what it does is, hopefully, if you're doing things the right way, it pushes you even more to put together and put out a superior product and a better value. For us, what it's done is, in the last year, I think this was part of Chase's question, is it's given us access to even more high quality barrels. And we've always been very selective at Dream anyways, but it gives us a chance to even sharpen our pencil a little bit more and say, you know what, this is really, really, really good, but maybe really, really, really good isn't good enough also. Maybe we need to keep waiting, or maybe we say, you know what, it got to be a value of that we can pass on to our consumers.
Mm-hmm.
We try to make sure that, any product that we put out at Dream is something that we can, A, we're very proud of, and B, that everybody can be proud of, A, their purchase, and B, the value that they got in it. You can only poke someone in the eye one time. You can't do it again, right? But if I give
Yeah,
you a product that you like at a price that you're okay with, you're going to come back again. Um,
correct.
that's what's really happened in the industry, is that unfortunately in the last year or so, with so many people struggling, it has kind of come to like a little bit of a downturn, if you would, right now. But I don't think it's, bourbon's not at a lull. We're still selling a ton of it. Our brand is growing hotter than anything, knock on wood, that I can think of, right? So
Mm-hmm.
bourbon is, in its own, if you would, is not at a lull. There's a little bit of a consolidation of the industry happening, but I feel like that's good for two people. It's good for the consumers, and it's good for the brands that are doing things the right way, because they're going to come out of this much, much stronger and much better.
I don't think it's any different than any other market correction we would ever see. And you always have these one off spikes in markets. Like in the mortgage industry around COVID, we saw interest rates 1.9, 2.3, whatever. Probably never see that again. Around COVID time, you saw bourbon kind of go haywire, and for the next 2 or 3 years, it was all over the place. I don't see it as anything much more than a market correction, but I don't think that we go below what we were before COVID. You know what I mean? I think that we maybe level back out to that, maybe just a little bit above it, but we may not see those COVID 2020, 2022 uh, situations ever again. But
No,
do we
you're
really want
spot on.
to?
You're spot on. I think what happened, unfortunately, is in the past few years, everybody started a brand. Everybody thought, "Oh, this is so easy. I'll make a
So
ton of
easy.
money doing it." Look at this overnight success in DC, right? Like it just looks easy from the outside looking in. So everybody that either had a little bit more money was like, "I'm going to start a brand," or "I'm going to start a distillery," or people were like, "Oh, I quit my IT job," or "Oh, I sold my IT company," or whatever it may be, right? And then said, "Okay, cool. Now I'm going to go do this because this looks fun and it looks glamorous and everything of that nature from the outside looking in." And then unfortunately, a lot of those people were not really good for the industry. Maybe they were not somebody that's passionate about the industry. Maybe they were not knowledgeable about the industry. Maybe they didn't underestimate it
Knowledgeable.
work it goes into this. And then unfortunately, they are struggling. So I think it's just, as you said, it's a correction, it's a consolidation. It's not really a downturn. Let me take a look at a couple of these others real quick, if you
I
don't
I
mind.
will. I'm gonna interject a quick question
Yeah.
or statement that back to what we're talking about. But those people that did that, right? You had so many people that went out and bought all these barrels, brokers, if you will, started brokerages, but then they didn't keep these barrels in a rick house of sorts. They put them in a warehouse, and so now your airflow and everything. I feel like there was so much great whiskey or potentially great whiskey that was purchased during that time that's not worth a darn now. Like, I feel like somebody like yourself that's sourcing whiskey, like you probably have to be pretty cautious in who you're brokering with, right?
Yeah, I mean, we look for provenance. We look for samples when we can get them. We look for, things like stats, like, okay, this should be this proof range or whatever it may be. And if it's not, then why isn't it? We look for a lot of different factors to make our decision. And then we work with people that we know and trust, people that we
Do you
know are
do
not
you
going to.
see that though? Do you see a lot of whiskey that was stored incorrectly by people that purchased it, not really having the knowledge of what they need to do? They just had the money to buy the barrels and
I mean, sometimes, bro, but to be very honest with you, Brandon, like I think it's still a little too early in the game for that, because it's going to
okay.
probably take a couple more years for that to really change, if you would, if that makes
It won't manifest itself until okay.
sense. All right,
Gotcha. We'll get back to their questions.
yeah, real quick. What is Prav's favorite bourbon? My favorite drink is always my next one. But I'll give you some of my all-time favorites, if you would, and this is in no particular order. Uh, 13 Michter's 20. I absolutely 1969 Wellers, when they used to put an S on Weller, like it actually used to say Weller. With the 1969 10-year 110 proof barrel Wellers of the 23-year Van Winkle decanter, the older Van Winkle decanter, the decanter and the glasses, the bottom of that. That one I love. Thinking they're off the cuff real quick. There's a Willet 17-year that's done by a buddy of mine. Rest in peace. And a friend of his. Uh, bourbon. 1945. I know bourbon, so I'm cheating. 1945. Rye from Maryland, absolutely delicious as well. So that one's another one that's up there. All right, let me see here. So let's go to the next one. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll here. Bourbon Badger is 110% right. Supply is up and the consumer doesn't have the disposable income. Absolutely. And that's why you as a consumer get to be more selective and hopefully are with where you're spending your money and what you're spending your money on. And hopefully are supporting people that are going to treat you the right way and people that have your best interest at heart as well. Next, can we talk about shipping to consumers? Lately, things have gotten tougher, but I feel like people want this to change. Being in DC, our efforts to work through this at legislative level. Great question. I've been saying for years and years and years, the whole like, there's so many things wrong with the alcohol industry. The fact that each state has its own rule and it's not just one uniform national rule is something that drives me crazy, but that's probably not something I'm ever going to see change in my lifetime. The fact that each state has its own shipping regulations is insane. DC is essentially the wild, wild west of alcohol. DC does not give an F who you ship to as long as they're over 21, what state they're in. Unfortunately, we have to follow the rules of the states that are receiving the alcohol. And some states say you can't ship into them. Some states say they don't, that you can't. Would I love to be a part of some legislative force to, help change all of these things? 1,000,000%. Do I have the bandwidth to take that on? Absolutely not. Unfortunately, my free time right now goes to one of two things and one of two things only: Dream Spirits and my family, and not in that order. Right? That's the only two things that are going to get any of my free time. Do I feel like that is needed? 1,000,000%. And I hope somebody takes it on and I can hopefully jump on the bandwagon once they do. Prav, which bottle or barrel are you most proud of that Dream Spirits has put out so far? Man, that's such a tough question. Picking between your kids, if you would. Okay. We're doing a limited release series of 9 different releases. I'm a very goofy, emotional, and sentimental marketing guy. Anytime I can bring a marketing story into something, I'm gonna. We're called Dream Spirits, so we're gonna do 9 releases so we can work up to Cloud 9. It's called the Cloud series. So we started with Cloud 1, which was a blend of 2 different bourbons that we threw into a fresh fill, newly imported exclusively by us, Japanese Mizunara cask for 21 months. That's probably the thing I'm most proud of, just because it was really cool to come up with that concept and then to get helps from industry friends to create the product and then to see it get to the finish line. I think dollar for dollar, it's the best thing we've ever released also, and just happened to be something that I was very proud of. Prav, after tasting thousands of barrels over the years, is there one barrel that you passed on that you wish you could go back and buy? Man, if I had a time machine, I'd go back and buy every single barrel from back in the day, if you would, like, meaning all the ones we used to pass on. When we did like a Four Roses pick, for example, we would be so picky, and be like, no, all these other 8 samples are just not good enough. Meanwhile, like, they were great. They were just not as good as the 1 or 2 that we would actually pick, but they were great, right? So again, if we had a time machine, we would go back and buy every single one of those. We'd go back and buy all the non-chill filtered Weller 107s that they were doing. Go back and buy like all the old school Willet, like Bernheim sourced and all of those types of barrels. There's so many that we could completely let, get into, but unfortunately, all I need for that is a time machine. Who let the dogs out is a great question. I don't know, but I'm a big fan.
Yeah, my dogs were going nuts at the front door earlier. I think Heather must be doing something, and she went outside, and I don't know. I had to mute my mic because it was bleeding over your audio because they were barking.
Got it. Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, that's okay. At some point, your listeners don't need to really hear me talk all this much, anyways.
They're loving it, man. I'm loving it. I'm eating it all up. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting here polishing off 145 proof bottles.
Yeah, I'll tell you, you might be careful with that, by the way, because every time you hit it, I'm like, You're gonna
Yeah.
try to stand up, and you may or may not be able to because that is 105 proof.
It is. I remember when I first got it and I tried it, I hadn't been into American light whiskey much, and I hit Kevin up. I was like, bro, I appreciate you putting me on and hooking me up with Prav and getting this, but I don't know if I really like it, and now I just freaking love American light whiskey.
Yeah,
I love American single malts even, but this bottle is fantastic, man.
thank,
Like it just
thank you. Yeah, I'm a big fan of like it's got to be
19-year MGP, just
yeah. I mean, you can't mess with that. Like 17 plus ish year MGP light whiskey that also ends up being hazmat. You just can't mess with it.
agree.
Yes, love that Hazy ALW. Absolutely, me too, man. All right, what else you got for me? You guys got anything else
Yep.
for me?
We got another 2 or 3 minutes here with Prav, so we'll let him get back to the fam. But y'all, if you've got a question, now is the time to ask it. Man, I tell you what, I've just got to get up there and hang out with you, man, because you're a
Tell me
wealth of
when, brother.
knowledge that I need to soak up.
Tell me when, brother. I'm all for it. I told you, man. You just tell me when, and my door's always open for you. We'll make sure that we get you in. Come kick it first with us for a couple of days. Come hang out in, adult bourbon camp.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your most sought after juice? If you mean from Dream Spirits of anything that we have released, it's probably going to be our run of Barton 18s that we did. Those are always very, very sought after. Anything hazmat is very cool right now. We've been able to do a bunch of those that were really good. We had a run of 11 and 12-year Heaven Hill hazmat barrels that were just out of this world. Heaven Hill hazmat just isn't something that you see every day, and those were really, really tasty.
That's definitely the kind of thing that I'm interested in. Like I've had, like from River Roots, I've had some Heaven Hill and some Jim Beams that were double oak that I just thought were magnificent, and so those are the ones that I'm chasing. Heaven Hill double oak is really what I'm chasing. I don't know why Heaven Hill doesn't really do that, because I love everything Heaven Hill. But
are you saying that just to kiss up to me because that's one of our most popular products, or is that just genuinely true?
no, that's 100% true, brother. Like the quad oak from River Roots that that they put out.
Thanks. Pleasure was mine, brother.
Yeah, I don't know where it's at, but anyway, the quad oak Heaven Hill from River Roots is something that I just about lose an arm for because I love it so much. And
so one of my favorite products that we sell at Dream, and one of our most popular products, is our double oaked Heaven Hill. We've got 8-year and 9-year, and we double oak them in a brand new Kelvin barrel that we get made exclusively for us, using like our specs that we give them to Kelvin, because I think Kelvin has the best barrels in the country. And then we age them in those, and they're just absolutely phenomenal. Somebody asked if they can buy Dream Spirits on our site. You can buy Dream Spirits on our retail site at the store. So that's pstreetwines.com. The letter P like Peter, street spelled out, wines is plural. And then just search Dream Spirits. You should see a few different options there. What juice do you like working with most? Oof. I mean, I have a soft spot for 3 distilleries. I feel like MGP, Heaven Hill, and Wild Turkey. And I'm not sure if it's in any particular order, but at the same time, I love finding like cool, new, funky, different stuff. We brought in a bunch of barrels from a distillery in DC that closed down, unfortunately, because great distillers, but they were bad businessmen. So we were able to buy some barrels from them and came up with some really, really cool things. So, I mean, I'm all, anything that's good, man, we'll find a way to enjoy it.
double oak turkey.
Yeah. Double oak turkey is really good too. That's another one, like
Yeah.
barrels that we got in. And I thought they just needed like a touch of something. And then that touch of something for us was Kelvin. It was kind of like taking everything good about those barrels and kind of putting it on steroids, if you would.
Yeah. It's so crazy how nerdy these like ISC and Kelvin can be. Like you can send them the little whiskey and
100%.
tell them what you want it to be like, and they say, "Oh, you just need to do this or that. We got you."
100%. These guys are so good at what they do, and they're so good at what they do for a reason. How do I feel about Green River Juice? I think Green River is good. I think they're a great distillery. I think they do great work. For me, most of the Green River that's out on the market is a touch young. At Dream, we have a baseline of 8 years old. It may or may not always stay that way, but we don't bring in anything that's less than 8. And a lot of the Green River that we see hitting the broker market is 6 or 7. Now, there is older Green River now recently. And we have tried a few different barrel samples of them or lot samples of them. We just haven't brought any in yet.
Now, are you sourcing from other areas? Because I have a thing like I talked with Fred Minnick about the whole age. When we say 8 year or age of whiskey, we're relative to Kentucky or Indiana usually. But some of these southern states are rapidly aging, and I feel like it's true that, like my buddy Seth Detling at Detling, a 5-6 year at his place is equivalent or maybe even better some heavily aged stuff in Kentucky, just like you wouldn't have a younger Canadian type whiskey, right? I think that it's just as you go further south, it's more rapid in aging, but some people disagree with me on that. But I think Texas whiskey does the same thing.
It does. It definitely does. So sometimes you gain that complexity that age gives, and sometimes you don't. And that's why we're very particular to some of the specs and some of the samples that we bring in, because you're spot on. Detling and some of the Texas whiskeys, they age significantly quicker. And Detling, for example, is a great example. They do a really good job with it. Texas whiskey, some of them are really, really good, and some of them you can tell are very youthful.
Yeah.
So it really depends, and each brand kind of has their own thing.
Agreed.
Here, what do we got? How long are we double oaking the Heaven Hill and the Kelvin barrels for? I would say probably some range between 3 and 12 months or so is what we've got in the rick house right now. But we throw them in, and then when people come in, we let them taste them, and whatever somebody likes, they like. So we don't have like it's got to be X number of months old. Whatever somebody tastes until somebody buys it, it'll stay in that barrel unless we end up blending it with something. What is your favorite dream product on your site right now? Since we're talking about it, we've got a really, really good double oaked Heaven Hill. I think
On your site?
On our site right now, I think it's H47 is the barrel number, but please don't quote me on that. West Side Beverage coming. Yeah, 10-year turkey toasted barrels are amazing. That's exactly what we use. What are we selling more, rye or bourbon? We're selling way more bourbon, but I would say rye is starting to not catch up, but it's starting to put a dent in it. This year, we've sold a ton of rye. We've got a really, really nice run of 10-year MGP rye, which is what I call the barely legal rye, barely rye. It's their 51% rye mash bill, not the traditional 95.5. And those are really, really good. Every time somebody's in the rick house and they try them, even if they weren't looking for a rye, they almost always end up buying one of those.
So this is the Heaven Hill. I don't know if that shows up.
Picture looks like it. I mean, it's not big enough to see.
Yeah, it's kind of blurry. Sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah,
but
Dream Spirits, Bourbon, Heaven Hill, double oaked, 8 years, 43 by Cask and Point.
No, that's a different one. That's which is also really, really good as well. That's also a very good one. That's done by a buddy of Connecticut named Daniel. Also a really, really good one as well.
Double Oak Heaven Hill. Does it have a picture?
It should have
8 years. 8 years old.
Yep, 8 years for sure.
149.95.
That sounds right. Is it barrel number HH47? Because somebody checked in the group and they did say HH47 is right.
HH47, yes, that's it.
That's the one.
Add to cart.
Yep, and then you're right. That Bourbon Notes Dreamsicle, man, that bottle is a bottle. That thing is a monster. It's so flavorful. And Kevin hit it on the notes with Dreamsicle or Orange Sickle. It tastes like a orange creamsicle pop. It's so wild that a rye can do that.
Yeah, that is weird, right?
Yeah. Beautiful. You guys got anything else for me? I by no means am trying to rush. I want to make sure I don't miss anyone's questions. I want to make sure I don't, I'm not trying to rush you guys. I don't want to gloss over anybody by mistake and be rude to anybody. Boom, boom, boom. I'm trying to scroll through it. I think I covered everyone. I don't think I missed any. Brandon,
I think we've covered them all.
You didn't have any others that hit you up on the side or anything, right?
No, I didn't. I'm too busy trying to pick up the Heaven Hill Double Oak. But we'll get that coming.
Is pstreetwines.com. That's P like Peter. The word street is spelled out. Wines is plural, WINES, pstreetwines.com. And that barrel number was HH47, like Heaven Hill 47. Oh, sweet. Somebody linked the website in comments. Much love. Appreciate that.
Cool deal. All right, guys. Well,
beautiful.
I
Hey
hope
guys,
y'all got
thank
what
you
you
so much
needed,
for
but
your
if
time.
not, y'all let me know and I'll hit Prav up on the side. But Prav, dude, thank you so much,
Dude,
man.
let's come kick it, man. Grab some of your,
It's coming.
listeners, followers, friends, whatever you want to do. The house is 5 bedrooms. It's got 2 additional queen size sofa beds. I,
Okay.
I, I I'm not that no new friends guy. I'm all about it. Yes, new friends. Let's go. Let's meet as many cool people as we can. As long as you're
Okay.
cool and you're good and you're good for the hobby, I'm totally down to hang out with you. What is the relationship with Daryl Proof Bottles? Daryl's one of my closest friends. He's a great dude. We are essentially, you could say at Dream Spirits, his glorified co-packer. We warehouse his barrels. We handle all the logistics and everything for him. Um, but I mean, it's his brand in all sense of the word. We just handle all the logistics and the bottling and the warehousing and the storage and all of that for him. Thank you, Big Rig Rolling. Much love. I appreciate that. It's very, very kind of you. Yeah, that HH07 from Liberty, I do remember that. That's a good one. Those guys at Liberty Barrel Club pick some really, really good barrels also. They have a really fun one getting ready to come out, so keep an eye open for that. I don't want to let the cat out of the hat just yet, but definitely keep an eye out for that one. I'll sleep on the floor for great whiskey. There you go. You can sleep in the one, Brent.
All right,
All right,
dude,
beautiful
man.
guys. Thank you so much for
Thank you
sharing
again.
time with me. I really appreciate it. I can't believe I kept you for an hour. You guys are amazing. I can't wait to actually hang out. It's on you guys now. The website is peastreetwines.com again. It's on you guys now. Bother Brandon as much as you possibly can and tell him, hey, we got to go do a pick at Dream. And not just him. In all honesty, I am asking you from the bottom of my heart. Help us spread the word of Dream Spirits. Help me make my dad's dream come true. Tell everybody you know to come do barrel picks at Dream if they're doing barrel picks. If they haven't been to Dream yet, something is wrong with them. And we've got to fix that. We've got to have them come in. We've got to have them come hang out. And we've got to just keep getting this thing rolling. We're on fire right now as a brand, but we've got to make sure that that continues. And that doesn't happen without you guys and your love and your support.
For sure. And you let me know anything I could do for you, brother, but I will be shooting you some dates tomorrow, if not tonight, of seeing what we can get together. So,
well, all you got to do is bring a good crew with you. I love to have a good time. Love to hang. So make sure you bring people that can hang.
all right, we'll do.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
Guys,
Cheers, y'all. Thank y'all.
everything. Appreciate you all. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks again.
See y'all.